And we are now live. Good afternoon or good morning to most of you. I don't know where you are. I know we have a lot of European followers. I have followers in New Zealand, the UK, Japan, Australia, many in the United States. So let's see, if it's 10:30 here, you guys in California are just getting out of bed. So I'm talking with John Cremeans, possibly one of the world's greatest salesmen, and I will say that right up front. And let's see, where's everybody? Well, first of all, I just want to say good morning, John. Welcome to the show.
Hey, George, nice to see you. Finally getting a chance, because we've talked a lot, like by text or by Messenger, but we've never really been face to face. We've probably known each other over 10 years, maybe.
Over 10 years, probably.
Since everybody started getting online, pretty much.
Yeah, the very beginning of the Facebook days, probably 2009, 8, 9, somewhere in there. And I forget, it was, I think what we have.
You said something about my hair. It was about my hair, I think. You were talking about the way my white flowing hair. And then you had a group that was all about, people with white hair. And I'm thinking, that's cool.
Yeah. That's right. And I remember, we have a friend in common, Steve Bryant, as well.
Love Steve.
From QVC. Yeah. And I remember Steve wrote me a really great, what do you call it? Like a reference for some commercial work and some infomercials that I did years ago. And just like everybody ends up crossing paths one way or the other.
It's very true. We all have, actually. And what's amazing is I have known Steve from TV. I've known him from Facebook and other entities, but we've never met face to face. And yet we know each other like everything. Because when I was on HSN, or even earlier than that, America's Value Network, I'd watch him. He was on the other channel, and then he actually watched the shows that I was on back, many, many, many years ago. So it's it's a small community, and we only know each other, whether it's from actually working together or just from watching each other and kind of feeling like you really, really know that person,
Yeah, that is true. Steve lived probably 10 minutes from me here in the Philadelphia area, and we shopped at the same store. And I was working literally 1 mile from QVC at the time, and it's just amazing. And then I didn't literally meet him until after he moved to, I believe, Nashville, and then he went from Nashville to California. So
that's right. He went to shop at home, I think, for a little while.
Yeah.
Yep. One of the shopping channel that was out of Tennessee.
Yeah. Why don't you tell our audience a little background, the people that I know there's people right now that are looking at you that are saying, this guy looks familiar. Tell them why you look familiar.
Well, I can tell you this. I was one of the first television home shopping hosts ever in the world. You think about many, many, many years ago on America's Value Network, I was literally one of the first hosts. In the time that I was on television shopping, I did over $2 billion in sales. I have over 36,000 hours of live television. If you were up late at night, or you were watching a shopping channel, or you flipped by one of my infomercials was on, basically that's more television airtime than Johnny Carson, Jay Leno, and all the network news anchors combined. Just one individual doing it. And I've sold over 100,000 different products, practically in every category, from jewelry to electronics to home solutions to kitchen. So if I do look familiar, it's probably because of that. Or if you have back problems, you might have seen the Dr. Ho's late night infomercial that's been running. Actually, you know what? That's been running 11 years. And I don't look anything like what I did back then.
It's kind of funny.
Kind of in a nutshell who I am, what I've done.
Well, all the insomniacs, of course, as they're channel surfing, I'm sure they've seen you on the infomercials. And then, of course, if one's just channel surfing and you come across any of the TV shopping channels, John is a face that everybody has seen and known. You wouldn't have had the career that you had on the air if you didn't sell. Now, you say you're
That's true.
responsible for $2 billion worth of sales. Tell me about that.
Okay, so basically, back in the old days, and now this is gonna be kind of unique for you because not many people got a chance to see what it was like in the early days. They just saw us on TV and wondered who are those guys yelling and screaming and selling stuff. There was no set script. There was no this is how you do it. This is what we expect of you. Basically, you're just going out there and they're giving you a product like this great coffee cup, and next thing I know, I'm like having to sell it. So none of us knew how to do it. I mean, there was no rules. I mean, so it was a Wild West. Everybody was crazy. It was wild. There must have been at that time 17 shopping channels, I think. They were all over the country. They all tried to, they were trying to grab a hold of what HSN down in Florida had started doing. So I went to work for a guy, John Menard, Menard's Home Centers, just like Lowe's and Home Depot. Many, many years ago, he had a shopping channel called America's Value Network. And when we would look at sales back then, if we did $5,000 in a day, we literally were like, "Oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever." I mean, who would have thought? We're just sitting here broadcasting, being goofy on air and selling stuff, from Kappa to Monte, these flowers to gold and jewelry, and you're making money. So back then, that was a big deal. Then the shopping channels of today, if you want to be successful, like let's say an HSN, your product has to do at least $3,500 a minute. If it doesn't do that, per minute. And on QVC,
wow,
you may be looking at $7,000 to $10,000 a minute. So it's huge. So, you think about all the time that I was on air and how much stuff that I actually sold. And you're on air like 3 hours straight. Years ago, though, at the beginning, we were on 6 hours. I would do 9 to 3 in the morning. So 9 in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, come back and work 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. And we did that every other day. So basically, I mean, those were killer hours, but you did a lot of money because it was when people started either going to bed or insomniacs late at night. You'd be surprised how many people actually shopped. So when I put out that number, it's because of being on as long as I have, having the trust of the consumer, and going from different shopping channel to different shopping channel like I did. There are a lot of newer hosts and people that you see on these shopping channels that don't last that long. They don't have a short runway. We had a long runway. We were able to create it, make it. And a lot of the things that me and guys like Steve Bryant, QVC and others, we literally created the entire genre of television shopping and what you'd expect out of the better hosts. So if you went on and lied and you overpromised, you were the guys that were pretty much gone in a year, 2 years. If you were the guys that were honest, even on crappy product, as long as you were honest, you gave it a good presentation, you gave the features and benefits, let the consumer decide, not push them into it. They trusted you more. And for me, that was the biggest part. I mean, here I've got people inviting me into their homes. They're saying, "Hey, that's John," and they may even turn the volume up. Sometimes they didn't, or have it in the background. But I mean, that is such a sacred and such a unique opportunity. It's like having a neighbor that invites you over for coffee, and they really want to hear from you or see you and talk to you, and to actually buy something from you sight unseen, just trusting this guy that they've known, maybe depending on how long they've watched. That to me is remarkable, and that I think is why I lasted as long as I did. And then before I decided to kind of semi-retire and start my own business and start working for myself.
That's really amazing. $2 billion. So you really are one of the world's greatest salesmen. A lot of people, when they think greatest salesman, they're thinking Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, these kind of guys. But you literally were right where the rubber hits the road. In a different
way, right? In a different way. I mean, if you look at Zig Ziglar, I mean, his way is a completely different way, right? They didn't have this huge, expansive, cable network or television network that had, on 1,600 homes or 1,600 cities across the U.S.
Yeah,
man, can you imagine if they did though? And all they had was a channel that was all Zig.
Imagine that.
It would be huge. Any of these guys that are inspirational leaders, I mean, you get them on, they would be touching touch points all across the time zones. and all across, all different people, all different kinds of life, whenever they watched, whether it was personal viewing or not. I mean, we've just come up in a great age of interactivity when it comes to like shopping or just television for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my first Zig Ziglar exposure was actually a 45 vinyl record. I remember there was like I think it was called Secrets of Closing the Sale on a record. Remember?
Wow. Yeah, you can't take that in the car. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So you were a trusted person. Somebody invited you into their home when someone stops the channel on HSN, Home Shopping Network. They had to listen to you. Let me put it this way. I remember years ago, I think there was a show called Entertainment Tonight. I don't even know if it's around still, but there was a woman
in some form.
I think her name was Mary Hart, and I remember.
Oh, I know her. I actually know Mary Hart very well.
But remember, there was a report that her voice would send somebody into convulsions. Remember, there was like it was some guy would hear her and he would have like a seizure. You were not one of those guys.
I have no idea why though. In the early days, like really early days, we were screaming, we were loud. I mean, we were in your face because nobody knew what to do. And as time went on, we all became our own voices, right? So I changed the way that I did my, just from seeing how the reaction was to customers, and over 26 years, you're able to kind of gauge pretty well, right? So now my delivery is a lot smoother, a lot slower. Years ago, I was stuttering and bamming everywhere. And just trying to, and way over the top. I mean, there are actually video clips of a show I used to do on America's Value Network called John and Johnny. And it was Johnny Rhodes and me. So John and Johnny. And basically, we were crazy. We were nuts. But somebody found a clip of us and put it in a movie. So every once in a while, you see John and Johnny. It was all over TV. It was all over all the different channels, the E-Channel, Comedy Channel. They all put it up because they got, oh my God, who are these guys? And that was because they just found a tape in somebody's closet. These guys that actually, one of them used to write for Letterman years ago. And they made this movie called The Found Footage Festival, and they went all over the country with it. And it's just it's changed so much. I mean, our style and the way we are, and I when I was younger, had a big stutter. I got in radio back my senior year of high school. And in the Twin City market, I'm like, here, I'm an 18-year-old kid, in the Twin City market, being a DJ, and then becoming an operations manager, news director, and still being on air before I got into television shopping. So, I mean, this presentation style and the way that I am is me. I mean, I finally found a way to be me and not be some, over the top, like car salesman kind of guy. Now, when you see me, this is me. I mean, I've been able to, I don't want to say perfect me, but actually what I do is I call it the authentic you. I get to be myself. And I think that, that helps draw people when it doesn't make you like irritated with your voice, and because it's more like you're talking to a friend or your neighbor,
Well, you are one of the people that, I mean, I remember talking to somebody on the phone, and they asked me, they said, what are you watching on TV? Because I could hear it in the background. I said, oh, the Home Shopping Network. And they would say, wait a minute, it's Friday night and you're watching a shopping channel. And I'm like, yeah. And they said, why are you doing that? Because I would go back and forth between HSN and QVC. And I said, number one, it helps me perfect my speaking skills. That's the first thing. Second thing is, it helps me be a better salesperson, because I see great examples to me watching HSN, specifically you, and specifically Steve as well.
Oh yeah, Steve's good.
It was sales. It was sales training. Watching you was like going to a sales training.
In a way, I agree. I mean, I agree with you totally on that. I mean, I learned from other people watching other shopping channels too. You know, in our time when we were all trying to perfect what we were doing and trying to figure out what a host really is. You know, I watched Steve.
Yeah.
I watched how he presented. And sometimes I mimicked some of the mannerisms and how he did it. You know, because you want people to believe you and not to believe that you're trying to be somebody else that you're really not. But I mean, you got good. You know, you got great exposure to what it's like to sell everything. I mean, be an expert in jewelry, be an expert. I mean, like I did, I sold handbags. I sold women's shoes. I sold fashion every once in a while. I sold dolls. I did sports. I did electronics. I did kitchen. But you have to be an expert, right? And as a salesman, that means you have to know everything about a product. You have to know the features and the benefits, and you have to know how that's going to relate to whoever's watching. You know, whatever audience that you might have, right? So, I mean, what you saw was like Steve and I, or anybody for that matter, you know, a lot of the hosts that have been around forever, like the Cremeans and some of those, is you got a chance to see, how we would sell all kinds of product.
All right, I think we're back.
There you are.
Okay.
So you got a chance to see, how to sell all different kinds of product, right? So you got a chance to see how we would do something, and even if it wasn't a guys centric product, right? We still had to sell it. So we had to come up with ways that I would relate it to my wife Kelly, and with how she would feel, what she would think if she was wearing it, how she would wear it. So that way, at least I could show that I'm actually in touch with what women are looking at too, and to have that kind of credibility as a guy, that's difficult to do.
Yeah, it is. Did you have a choice about a choice in what you would sell, or did they plan it for you?
It was planned. It was planned. I never had a choice. I shouldn't say that. Back in the early days, we used to be pirates, and what that means is that as salesmen, you're always looking for great product, right?
Yeah.
So we would actually we would put together our shows with this huge, this whole big, this big spreadsheet that was, 8, 12 inches tall. And you go through searching for products and looking at the dollar per minute. How did that product do? Or, oh my God, there just happens to be 1,000 computers that Mel was supposed to air later in the evening, but I can grab it now and sell them before he does.
Yeah.
So we were pirates. I mean, we were trying to get, all the best product we possibly can to make our number, because, we would have a number for the show for each hour. And then based on that, we would, get some kind of commission plus our regular salary. So you were a pirate. I mean, we were, but now everything is so programmed in because the hours are set. They have each product, they have a scheduler planner that literally is, that is sitting there going, okay, look at, this is what you're going to sell. This is how many minutes you get. You might get an extra minute or two if it's making the dollar per minute or money. But, so now it's a lot more, planned than what it normally would be. Makes it a little bit easier to study the product instead of when you get a bunch of product that you have no idea.
Yeah. And it boils down to the minute, doesn't it? It's like really per minute, because a minute of airtime is pretty precious.
Yeah. It's very well on the shopping channels. Yeah. Think about this. So you go into a store, right? And all the shelves are full. Well, that's a shopping channel. Every minute is taken care of. Every product is already there. You've got to come up with a product that actually can beat the products on the shelf and be better, so that they say, okay, well, yeah, we're going to give it a chance. We'll take it right off, right? And that to most people, you're thinking, oh, well, it'll be easy to get on a shopping channel. It's not. In today's world, maybe a little bit more, because they're having problems with supply chain because of, all the pandemic and everything, and trying to get stuff from China. It's become very difficult to a lot of vendors and a lot of suppliers to these shopping channels. Yeah. But you still got to come up with a product that can knock that guy off the shelf and not just be a one-hit wonder. I work with a group of people that we had one of the best-selling wine openers for a couple of years now. And basically, it's just an air pump wine opener. You insert it in, instead of getting a CO2 cartridge, you pump it a couple times and it pops like champagne. I mean, it's a cool wine opener, and it's sold, gangbusters, millions over the last probably 3 or 4 years. So it's pretty, it's pretty wild.
Let me ask you this. You started when it was a 1-800 number. There was no such thing as being online. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Everyone had to call and order.
Oh yeah, you go through what they call the IVR, right? And so I could actually see, and this the phone call thing is a good idea because this tells you what it was like in the old days. Okay, so we had what was called an IVR. They would have like an arrow going up or an arrow going down. So, and that would refresh itself maybe every minute. So you would see as the calls were coming in, if it was going up, then you're doing something right. Well, now, and I would look at a screen as a host, I could tell within 5 seconds of what I said how the audience was reacting. Because on the computer screen, it would actually have a graph, a chart. It'd be colors. I mean, pretty cool when you see a $250,000 minute. I mean, that's the highest dollar per minute I ever had, was almost, $250,000 in a minute. And wow. You watch it, and so as you're talking, you're talking to the audience, you're looking at the camera, but you're also glancing over and you're seeing that something that you're saying is making them move. So you go back in your thought process, and this is why you've got a lot of things going when you're a host. It's not just talking about a product, right? But you're going, okay, I'm going to go back on that. I'm going to hit that again. They like that. And you could do that. And if you talk about something you saw go down dramatically, then you said, well, okay, don't go down that avenue. Go back to where you are and do it. They don't teach that to hosts anymore. They used to, but they want hosts to stay away from the money aspect. They still want them to sell, but they don't want them like going crazy because their numbers aren't there, right? Even though they're still judged on that, they just don't want them seeing it on air because then they think you start to become pushy if you're not selling right.
So there was a call center
phone deal. I mean, that was phone. I mean, the phones were. I mean, there were times when we had to do 21 calls in an hour. Back years ago, remember they would have calls on. Hey, Linda, what do you think? Oh, John, it's great. Okay, great. Linda. Okay, there's Marge from New Jersey, and that was a club atmosphere, right? That's why it was that originally it was called a home shopping club.
Yeah,
because
I remember that.
It was fun. I mean, you're part of a big group of people that are buying all kinds of stuff on TV. Now they don't do that. I mean, now it's the calls are very specific, and now they don't just come through phone calls. They also come from the computer as well. So you're watching sales from the TV and you're watching it from the computer, like the .com, right? When we started doing .com, I mean, it was an interesting go many, many years ago.
Here we have a question. How has the internet and online shops like Amazon affected this way of making sales?
Big time. Actually, it's affected it greatly. And what you see, Amazon is the place you go for things I mean, not a lot of people go on Amazon just to go shopping. It's got to look through everything and just, go browse, right? You literally go to Amazon because either you're a Prime member, you're going to get free shipping and handling, you're going to save money, or you're going to the place that and the things that that you're looking for at the best price. I mean, they're closest to the manufacturing process. They don't have a lot of middlemen except for Amazon. So prices are really good. And there's a lot of competition. So, yeah. So what happens is, even these television shopping channels, that starts to hit into them because, I mean, they can't offer as huge a variety as, let's say an Amazon. And in today's world, I mean, shopping channels are seeing a little bit of an uptick because of the pandemic and people just sitting inside, not doing anything and just shopping all day like Amazon has seen. Amazon couldn't even keep up. I mean, neither could they, but they're still on a decline. And it's because of the fact that, shopping channels don't have the ability to have that huge a variety of product, even though they have websites, right? I mean, they have some decent websites, some great products. There are some glitches that I've noticed just to being a digital marketing and looking at it and finding out how they recommend products. Or at least with Amazon, if you're looking for let's say a mount for your phone, you've got everything. I mean, you've got every opportunity in every different category, pricing wise, to be able to buy it. So Amazon's done a good job. The only thing that Amazon doesn't do well yet is selling. I mean, if they added more of a live content channel to their website, or better sell, when let's say you want to buy something, George. Let's say you want to buy a new mouse for your computer or whatever, and you decide, okay, I want to buy it. It would be great wouldn't it be great if you had like a video that just had, someone telling you about it, like every time you went to a product. So, I mean, you can either watch it or not. If you're trying to, you're really trying to decide between one or the other, you could click on both and have presentations of both, and you can decide from that. It's the things like that Amazon tried to do a couple years ago. It failed. They tried again. Now they've got a little bit more of a sales feature that you can actually go from, like, I could be selling here in my office, right? I could be selling you stuff and do it live through Amazon, and have Amazon literally being the logistics person, having your inventory and whatever. It's a new process. I've only watched it a couple times. I'm getting used to being able to see it and see how it actually works. But I think that's the future. I mean, this little screen we're on, whether you're watching on your laptop or your phone or your tablet or however you're doing it, and I've got like all these screens up in here, watching everything. It is the way it is, and that's the way shopping will be. I mean, we're not going to be going to stores as much. I mean, people started to not go anyway. They want to get out of their house, but do they really want to go into a packed Walmart? Or do you want to go into a Target?
Right.
I mean, I like those experiences. I mean, because I do like, there are certain things I like. I like to shop. But you know what? If I can buy something that I need and get it the next day, or in the Tampa area, I can get stuff the same day. So, man,
sure.
If I have a need, I can order it in 3 hours. It's here, and I can actually watch, because it tells me that my product, is like 2 deliveries, 2 stops away, 1 stop away, and then you're actually opening the door as the guy's handing you the package. We
have a question.
I've actually literally shocked a few of my the Amazon guys. They're like, "How are you doing that?" It's usually the same.
That is great.
I'm watching you, man. I've got every.
I love it. Human-to-human sales will always survive when you think of large real estate deals, large equity and capital deals. That cannot be done without the human input. Would this change in the future?
Well, look at what's happening now. I mean, look what happened when they shut down everything, right? Even big companies started doing Zoom meetings. They started doing anything, Facebook group meetings, whatever they could, to have all their team members and people that they couldn't talk to. They could literally try to do sales this way, because they couldn't travel. They couldn't get in a plane, couldn't go to wherever you had to go to sell something. So you had to kind of trust that this would work. Well, a lot of companies saw that it worked. Productivity went up with people even at home. If they could have meetings like this, where you're being authentic and instead of you sitting around a boardroom, everybody doing corporate speak, things get done. People will actually get more work done. So it's changing the way that America and also around the world, how businesses are doing business, because they found that maybe they don't need that huge office complex to get something done. I mean, this is a great way to communicate. You get to see each other. It's not that I still love pounding flesh. I like to be able to shake your hand and look you in the eye. But if you do it right, you're pretty close to doing it when you're doing a Zoom meeting, right? Or any of these meetings that they've been having. As far as like big deals, yeah, I think that you sometimes the boardroom has to be that way. You have to be there. I mean, so you're actually looking at each other across the table when it comes to like big transactions, especially real estate and things that you could do it this way, but is it effective? Probably not. It doesn't seem as personal sometimes, right? It just depends on who's doing it. Like you and I, it's personal. I mean, we're like, we're friends, we're talking, and it's not, somebody behind a board desk talking corporate speak or legalese as they're trying to sell you something. So, there's going to be times that you still need to have that personal interaction in big sales, but product sales, like things you see on TV or Amazon, and that you don't really need to. I mean, people, the experience online is so much more virtual and so much more real now, from videos and demos and better pictures and stills and whatever you need, that it's really made it a lot more simple to not have to get out of the mess, especially as we get close to the holiday seasons.
Yeah, let me ask you this. How has this year, the lockdowns, affected sales in general? I know as I'm looking at real estate, there was no in-person showings. There was virtual showings, which is just a huge buzzkill to me.
Yeah. You kind of want to be in it, right? You're going to want to imagine this would be my bedroom. That's my view. I mean, you can do that on a computer, but it's not the same as actually doing it. When you're looking out a window and you're seeing the lake that's out behind your house, or you're looking at a huge pool that they've got back in the back or whatever, that's the experience. You have to be there for that. I mean, I can look at a nice place on TV, on a screen, and go, wow, I'd like to be there. No, you got to be there. I think that people are buying though. Real estate around, especially in the Tampa Bay area, is still rocking. They're actually still doing quite well. So as far as how that's working in today's world, it's pretty shocking. I've just always been amazed that when I look at it and I see, especially around me, there's so much construction going on and brand new housing and brand new businesses. And I mean, when I first moved up where I live, north of Tampa, it was basically a couple houses and a McDonald's and a Shell station. And now we have practically everything under the sun, and it's continuing to grow. So I think that even though we've had this lockdown in some places, I think that people have found ways, especially businesses, to be able to be a part of it. And that's at least that's what I think. JDS, thank you. I mean, it's just, we all come from different parts of the globe, and we're all looking at this like, you can either take the lockdown and shut yourself down, or you can take the lockdown and be more useful, do more things. Like I, consult a lot. I have, consultations that I do just like this. So we're right in your home. You're in my office. I mean, we're like literally talking, and you start to do these consulting things, just based on being this way when you couldn't get out, that there are people that are taking their businesses and moving them in different directions. And the ones that did it, the ones that have done it are making money. I mean, literally, I went from, digital marketing, direct marketing, television sales, things like that, to a point where, I'm doing consultations. I'm helping, entrepreneurs grow. I'm helping inventors, do their product. And instead of just being a website, I'm here. I'm literally talking to you. So I think, whether it's from sales of products or, services, people have changed. And people had to pivot. I mean, if you didn't pivot, you were stuck. I mean, I took the time, the first 3 months of just reading and learning and finding even more stuff that I didn't know, so that I would finally say, okay, look, this is what I'm going to do, and I start consulting. I start doing I literally in-home consulting right on your computer, just like we're talking now. And I get a chance to, feel you out a little bit as far as, what you're thinking. It's different than writing a note or, just texting somebody, right? This is a great medium. And the businesses that will succeed can utilize this and do it well. At least that's my opinion. Yeah. But, I'm watching people use it and do better with it. And I think that's our future.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this: as far as the future of the home shopping channels, be Alvin Toffler for a minute. Give us a little future. Give us a little future shock. What's going on?
I originally thought a couple years ago that we were in the last days of the television shopping industry.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, and we still are. It's declining. I mean, their audiences are declining because people are not sitting by their TV anymore.
Right.
They're doing appointment viewing. They're they're watching on their own time. So the channels, because they do have great websites and they are very active websites, they can actually weather the storm. But what's happened is we have so many more things to do now. We have so many more viewing opportunities and things to see, that the audience that used to be the television person that watched shopping channels or had them on in the background all day long are not there anymore. Yeah. I mean, and I hate to say it, but they're dying off. Mm-hmm. I mean, they had a core audience that was older people, boomers and up, and a lot of times they left some of those customers behind because they were chasing younger viewers. Yeah. But when you go for a younger viewer or a younger person to shop, you know what it's like. There's no brand loyalty. Yeah. I mean, at all. I mean, it's cool. I saw it on TV. I'm going to buy it over here. Or that's yesterday. I like this outfit now. So you're going back and forth, and you're not really, staying with one brand or not. I mean, like me. I mean, I have a brand of cologne that I've had since I was in college, and I've still keep it today. It was Halston Z14. Love that fragrance.
Yes.
That, I mean, it's got the weird shaped round bottle,
Yes.
really, really good looking. And I can remember still buying it at, $97 for a bottle, when now you can go to Walgreens and CVS and buy it for $25.
You're right.
So that kind of dates you, but that kind of brand loyalty is because it's become part of me. People expect that when they give me a hug or whatever, it's always that same fragrance. And but kids don't do that now. They got the Axe body spray. They got the next spray that looks really cool and looks like it's hot, and they're going to pick up a lot of girls with it. I think that stuff smells like crazy. Somebody walks in and go, whoa, holy cow. You used the body spray, didn't you? And that would be my kids.
Right. That's funny.
But there's just no brand loyalty. I mean, like we had back, even years ago. I mean, we still have it because that's the way we grew up. Yeah. We get something we really like. I mean, I have a pair of jeans that I really like. And you know what? Nobody's going to get me to buy anything different, whether it's a Lee's or Wrangler. I tried the cool brands years ago, but I always go back to the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that way. In today's world, it's a little different. So that's why I thought like the television shopping channels, and you look at their sales numbers year over year. They had a good year, they had a decent year this year because of, COVID and people, being stuck and having to watch whatever they could. So it's fresh content. At least that was fresh content. It wasn't like watching the same, hockey game over and over again that you've seen already 15 times, but ESPN thinks you need to see it again. Right. So there was some rise there, but overall continues to drop. I mean, that's why when you saw like the QVCs of the world buying HSN, they had to stop the slide, but it's still sliding. It's just it's just going to be a point of time where, maybe, the cable part of it's not as important as the online part of it, because everybody literally is cutting the cable that way and they're going online. I mean, I've in my house, I have Roku. Now, Roku, it was one of the first original streaming devices that you could buy. Right. And I loved it. I mean, I thought, oh my God, this is the future. Right here. I mean, I was on the internet. It hooked up to the internet. I'm getting all these channels. It's got a great interface, and they're still the leader today, even with Apple and all the other stuff. No, I mean, they're watching Apple TV, and it's okay. I have it, but I like my Roku experience. There's just something about it. I mean, they continue to develop new things. Their interface looks good, and the shopping channels are there as well.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. So QVC has a channel. HSN has a couple channels. Actually, QVC has, I think, 3. That they have on there. Then so I'm saying with HSN, they all have their own little niches, but they put their apps on the like Roku, and it was Amazon TV, which is fire, I think. So a lot of that. I mean, that's it. So that's the future. They're not going to look the same. They're not going to be the same. It's still going to be. They have to evolve, and they have to keep evolving just to keep up with viewership and where people are going. I mean, I'd rather be able to watch it on my own time than have to sit there and wait. Oh my God, I want to buy a piece of jewelry, and I'm waiting 6 hours for a jewelry show to come on.
Right. I remember, I guess it was Lisa Robertson, when she left QVC, she started doing her own thing, and she took some of her following with her. I believe she, on her own domain and Facebook
and everything, if I remember right.
And blogging.
Yep.
And she was like one of those people like yourself that developed a relationship with people. She would take the calls and she'd be like, "Hi, Jeannie, how are you? Is your mom out of the hospital yet?" And, it was like a conversation between two friends. And I don't know if the home shopping channels now put the live real-time sales numbers up, the counter.
They have to.
And
that's a legal requirement. That's illegal.
Is that right? Yeah. Tell me about that.
Well, years ago, it was somebody sitting in the call center, hitting a button. I mean, literally hitting a button and trying to either keep up with sales that were going way too fast, or they were juicing it a little bit. And that was back before it really became a legal problem. I mean, the FTC is all over the claims they can make, the things that they say on air. I mean, there's a lot of that. I mean, you'd be amazed. I mean, how many legal meetings I used to have to go to, like once or twice a week, based on the products that the company, the network were going to sell, and we had to take quizzes, and we had to then learn the legal part of it all. Now the counter's real sales, and what I've noticed the shopping channel is doing though, now they're putting up counters that's overall sales, meaning okay, so you've had a product that's been on air 5 times that day, they may be showing you a counter that shows all of them sold today, or in the lifetime of the product, depending on what looks better when they put it on the screen. But it has to be a true representation of what the actual sales are. You can't do the fake thing anymore. That doesn't work anymore, at least from a legal standpoint.
How important is personality? Like, I know a guy up here in the Philly area, friends of mine in the hair industry, and he goes to he flies down to Home Shopping Network, and he sells blow dryers, flat irons, hair sprays, this kind of stuff. And I think he sold $1 million of merchandise in, I don't know, 8 minutes or something like that. But he is Mr. Personality. I mean, he almost makes you buy. He's a guest. He's not a host. He's a
a good guest can take a great product and make it better. Especially if you've got. I mean, hosting is one thing. You have to have a good host that can play with the guest and bring out the best in every guest, no matter how bad they are or how good they are. And that relationship can be seen on air, and then they people will look at it and go, oh, okay, John seems to like it, and that guy's really good at what he knows, all his stuff about what he's selling. And, whoever the guest is, and the next thing they're going to buy that way. So guests are. I think guests are. Guests for certain products are very important. When you have to have somebody that is more of an expert. I mean, I could be an expert on every product because I had to, but I may not know as much about hair care as you do. Or if you were doing a beard line, a complete, maintenance, because everybody has COVID beards now.
Yeah.
I mean, so we all have beards. We're trying to keep them up. We're trying to figure out how to do it. And I think that, having an expert there that is authentic, that's real, that comes from, as an expert in that field, as an expert, like when I would do a show with Wolfgang Puck or, any of these chefs, and they know how to cook. So John's having fun with Wolfgang. We're cooking something, making something, eating something, having a great time. He's talking. That becomes an experience, and it's an authentic experience. Because some of these guests are not going to go out there just to blam it out and sell it. They're showing their passion, and that is part of what I call the authentic you. I even wrote a book on it. It's all about how in today's world, like you and I are right now, having a conversation and not faking it. Yeah. I'm not sitting back. Well, George, let me tell you about this and how this actually works. No, it's a conversation now, and there are people that don't know how to do it. They're afraid to, because they don't realize people would rather have a conversation and talk one-on-one than they would have the sales speak or the boardroom speak that they have in regular meetings. So I wrote this whole book on how to do it. I mean, literally, because I saw a need. I knew that people were having a hard time with it. I mean, this is a different kind of communication in a way. And those of us that can look at a little green dot, like I'm looking at you right now, you're a little green dot on my laptop, on my MacBook Pro. But you know what? But I'm talking to you like you're there, like you're real. Like you see, that takes time for people to learn, because usually when they see the camera, they're like, "What am I going to do? How am I going to do it?" No, you look at that little green dot and you say, "That's my friend." I'm looking at the green dot right now, going, "That's George." I mean, even though I can see you down over here on this one of my monitors, I'm still going, "That's George right there." So George and I are talking. I teach people how to do that, to be, because in today's world, now that we are looking at this, right? I mean, we're looking at it the way that business is kind of evolving. This is going to be important. And if you can't communicate and you're just kind of sitting there looking around, you're eating cereal while you're on in a meeting, it's just not going to work. I mean, I could right now just have on some flannel PJs on underneath. You'd have no idea. But from this part up and my surroundings, this is who I am. This is what I am. And you're like, you're right in my office right now. And you're sitting across the desk and we're having a great conversation, drinking some coffee, and kind of sharing experiences. So it can be taught, and a lot of people actually do have it. They just don't know it. My first time on camera, I didn't know how to be on TV. I was a radio guy, for heaven's sakes. I can make love to a mic. I could get real close and talk real deep and, and bring you in, or I could do news and play with this mic and make it do whatever I wanted. But man, when you put a camera on, a big gold camera, the old style, and they got a light on there, that's it. I mean, that little light is that person. And it's not everybody. Because you and I are talking, and I realize that there are a lot of people watching, and there are a lot of people, asking questions. We're seeing questions being asked too. And I'm going, I'm talking to you, but you know what? There's probably somebody right now in Los Angeles watching, and they're thinking I'm actually talking to them. So it's looking at the camera and being able to be you and let everybody know that, I know you're all there, but when you're looking at your screen, I'm talking to you. And you know what I mean? It's that thing. That's the thing that I learned over time. I didn't know how to do it at first, but as soon as I learned, I started, visualizing that. I first visualized that the dot was my brother. And because we talked all the time, and the next time, it was my girlfriend or my wife or, whatever. And I'm looking at that and going, okay, that's that person. That's who I have to talk to. That's what I'm doing. And then I have to think in my mind how they're reacting to what I'm actually saying.
When you had hosts on, there are hired hosts. I know some people up here in the Philadelphia. I know all the media people here. I know all the news people here. I know all the QVC people. I've partied with everybody up here.
You know Mary Beth Rowe?
I know everybody up here.
So Mary Beth Rowe, listen. So Mary Beth Rowe and I go back a long, long way. Back in Minnesota, at the Cable Value Network, QVC bought us years ago. Her and I worked there, and she used to. Her and her husband lived in Gray Eagle, Minnesota, where my ex-wife used to go to school in high school. So we kind of knew each other from way, way, way back. Even when she was like Mrs. Minnesota. Yeah. Years ago.
I'm telling you, it's a small world. Our worlds have crossed so many times before we actually knew each other. It's funny.
Isn't that wild? It's just wild.
So, all right. So I have all these, my whole network is filled with actors, models, broadcasters, and I've been slowly trying to get away from that. And so, but a lot of people end up being paid hosts for products. So they, and they get interviewed by the company, whether it be a set of sheets or, a lawn sprinkler system or something like that.
Sure.
You have that kind of guest, and then you have the kind of guest that invented the product. And I know you've hosted both of those people. What's the difference between the guy who invented the widget and is on your show and the hired gun? Tell me about the inventor.
Okay, that's actually a really, really good question, because the sales technique that you do for the two are different. If I've got let's say Mark Rosenzweig, he's the guy that created Shark vacuums, all those Shark products you see on TV. Mm-hmm. Mark actually had a company called EuroPro, and he did sewing machines. So I would do sewing machines with another guy. Two guys sewing with sewing machines, because we knew how to sew. I did actually. So I was pretty impressive at that point. But with him, he knows his product. He's making millions and millions of dollars selling his product all over the world. So if I have somebody that represents the company that really is the owner, the builder, the creator, I'm going to let them go. I'm going to let them be part of this experience, and we're going to learn from them. And that's kind of what I do. Is if you've got somebody that's that powerful as far as their knowledge on the product, they can tell you how it's manufactured, everything. I want that guy. Now, if you have like an entrepreneur or an inventor that is not as, or somebody that's a paid gun, like a guest expert is what we would call them, or a product, or a category expert, depending on what you're doing. Somebody might be a kitchen expert because they've been a chef or whatever. Those people are a little bit different. You're going to use them to help enhance the story. of the product and why they would use it. And you can see it that way. Somebody that owns it or knows it knows all the ins and out of it, and they know the yeses and the nos. I'm going to sit back and let them go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so I may introduce you and ask you the first question, but I'm going to sit and let you experience, and then I'm going to close it because I know you know how to sell. Like these guys that own these companies that that make big money. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to take the back seat and let you explain it because you've probably sold it. You've done studies on it. You know what that product can do and what it can't a lot better than I would do. So I would do that. Now, on the other hand, when you've got somebody that's more the inventor, that is a paid gun, that's more like a representative, then it's a back and forth. I'm going to ask questions that I think the audience is going to want to know so I can make that guest expert shine. I don't want to ask them a question that's going to blow the sale, right? I'm going to ask them questions so that when people go, oh, look, it's Karen, or that's Kelly, or that's Jim, they know all about that product. It's because John, the trusted guy that you bring into your home, asked them the questions to really bring out what's best in the product. And it's an art. I mean, it takes time. It was, when I would go to on television shopping, everybody knew where they could find me an hour before the show. It wasn't studying product. It wasn't, putting my mics on and getting geared up, ready to go. It was sitting in the green room, drinking coffee, laughing, having fun, talking to my guests. So that, no matter who they were. So that when they got on air, they weren't looking at John, the TV guy that sells stuff. John is the guy that I trust. He's a great friend. I mean, we were just talking about my kids about an hour ago. So you're a friend now. So that conversation you have is a better back and forth than, hosts that don't meet with their guests or are just go and say hi and, oh, I know everything about your product and go, right?
Yeah.
No, this is something you look at going, wow, okay, yeah, this is a friendship going. And people see that. That's all part of the authentic you. I mean, they see that you like the person you're with, that you're talking to, or you're really into what they're selling. And I think that makes a big difference.
Did you ever have to host somebody that you didn't like?
Oh yeah, a couple people. Okay, but you know what? Overall, the majority no. I loved every experience. There was one guy, and don't be this guy. Okay, this is the guy that you can't stand. The guy that's in the meetings that knows everything. Yeah, I mean, literally knows everything, and will look at you in your face and say, "You know what? I know everything. Get us, go aside here. I know how to do this." Even though he's never been on a shopping channel, never sold really in this kind of format ever in his life. We had a guy that brought in a vacuum cleaner, not the same guy, Shark or anything. It was a different company. Actually, it was Hoover. No, it wasn't Hoover. Yeah, it was Hoover. So they brought in a vacuum cleaner, and this guy was a representative from the company. Never been on TV. They hired him because he was like one of their better salesmen of this particular vacuum cleaner. So they're setting everything up. He's upsetting all the coordinators because they're trying to help him set up his demo and make sure that he shines. And he's telling them, you don't know what you're doing. He's making some of the girls cry. And I hear about it. And I'm thinking, we've got a prima donna. But that's okay. I mean, I can work with that. I can make that shine on air. And then I started hearing other stories, and they're going, oh my God, John, you've got to see this demo he's going to do. And you've got to see what he did out in the set. I'm thinking, oh my God, what happened? I go out there and there's a pile of dirt. Dude, I'm telling you, he could be building a shopping center with the amount of dirt that he had on the floor. I'm thinking, this is going to be great. We're going to start that at midnight, and it's going to be like the best thing ever. If it does what he says it's going to do, that's awesome. But I did, I tried to talk to him, but no, he knew everything. You stand back. You sit back, and I'll just sell. That's what he said to me. I'm like, really? All right. So I got on there, did my regular, intro, built him up. Built up the vacuum for the things that were really the main features that would make somebody want to buy it. And I introduce him and I get him on there and he goes, John, let me tell you all about it. And he kind of pushes me aside. So he's got the vacuum cleaner, he gets it on, he goes, now see this mound of dirt? This is what I'm gonna do. He goes, I'm gonna suck up all of that. He starts doing it. And I'm watching, and I'm watching, and I'm watching. It's like the world's most expensive shovel. It wasn't working at all. Now, at that moment, because of all the stuff that he did for the show, I stepped back and I let him go and let him do what he could with the shovel that he's now trying to sell as a vacuum cleaner. And I mean, it was bad for him. I could see it. I mean, he was sweating. It was horrendous. But then I would go in and save it. I would go in and at least give you the features, the benefits. But I was never going to mention the fact that, I mean, that thing's not cleaning anything. But
Right.
that kind of guy, that's the kind of person that you don't want to be vindictive, because I would never do that. I mean, I would always sell a product for its features and benefits and what it could do, because there's always going to be somebody that's going to want to buy it, even if it's a crappy piece of junk that somebody just showed you on air that it's not working. But you at least have to give it a good presentation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You never let somebody know that, I mean, that's a horrendous product. Never buy it, because then your company's going to get mad. So you have to go out there and just give it the best presentation that you can, even if you got a guest like that. I mean, that was probably my worst guest experience ever. I mean, somebody that really honestly didn't want to, I mean, thought they knew everything. And, and I was okay with that. I'm not one of those that I need to be in the spotlight and I need to be on air, or I don't need to be on the camera. I mean, I'm not like one of those kind of guys. As long as the customer or the person that's watching is, entertained, is learning, is getting the information that they need to purchase a product, then I'm happy with it. And like I said, that's why, some of those big expert guests, some of the guys that I just sit back like a Wolfgang Puck or, a Gordon Ramsay when we were in the kitchen and going, he knows his stuff. They love him. They're not going to love me. They're just going to be, I'm part of the experience at that point. But those kind of people, it's tough. There's been a couple others, but that's like the biggest one in my mind. I remember right away, because it was such a horrendous experience.
What product did you say, all right, good, I get to sell this?
Oh, the first pen cams ever. I don't. If you remember back, this would be actually around the year 2000, 20 years ago. They were coming out with these digital cameras, right? But they were like, less than a megapixel. They were really horrendous VGA quality. But at that time, that was a big thing. Oh my gosh, I don't need film anymore. I got a camera. Well, a company called Aptech came up with, came up with a pen cam, and it looked like a pen. It was similar to a pen, but it was actually smaller. And it had a little dot or little hole where the camera lens was. Now, I thought, oh my God, this is cool. Well, it was in the 2000 election. So you got Al Gore against, George W. Bush, right? So you couldn't get into the Al Gore events because they wanted money. Jimmy Buffett was there. They were charging you to go in downtown Tampa to their event.
Yeah.
Where with George W. Bush, I literally just called up the Republican Party and said, hey, I want to be, I've got something I want to sell on air. It's the coolest product ever. And I think this would be great to go to your last rally, which his last rally was in Tampa before the election, right? So I get to go. And not only do I get to go, I'm the fourth person greeting George W. Bush as he comes off the bus because they drove the bus in the auditorium. And all the people around, he's all excited. He's like, oh my gosh. And I had this camera. Well, the Secret Service first wanted to know what it was. And I had to plug it into their computer so they could see it. They were like, oh, yeah, this is cool. And I thought, well, you guys should have this already. That's my first thought. But yeah, I took great pictures, right? This could be possibly the next president of the United States. I wanted to be able to show it. So I go on air and I have that camera and I show them what I did the day before, like meeting a possible, president, right? And it's a cool thing. I don't care who it is. It's a cool thing when you meet who's going to be leading your country. And so I'm going, this is going to be great. I start showing it. I sold 80,000 of them at midnight.
80,000 at midnight.
Oh my God. And well, I'm thinking, it's because the pictures of a possible president, it's probably, whatever. But at that time, the network was owned by Barry Diller.
Yeah.
And Barry Diller, of course, is a very large Democrat and, big Democrat, very liberal. So the first call I get at 9:00 in the morning is, John, what the hell were you thinking? I go, what do you mean? Well, you were showing George W. Bush on TV on our air. I go, well, yeah. It's a cool experience. That's the kind of experience you're going to have with a camera you can take pretty much anywhere. So go, yeah, it sold it. And they're like, well, Yeah, but there were people up in management that really didn't like that. I'm thinking, the salesman going, well, I sold the camera. I mean, it was a life experience that, not everybody gets a chance. And if you're going to do it, especially, 20 years ago, that was a cool thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had some way to be able to capture images like that fast and I have to carry a big camera around.
Yeah, right.
That was cool. So, so that's one of the big things that, a demo can be very important to a product and to a sale.
Was there a product that you dreaded selling, or I should say, was more of a challenge? Let me spin it that way.
You know what? Only because of when we started and we didn't know what we were doing. Because we didn't know what these products were. We really didn't have stories built for them. That was probably the most difficult time because you really were, on the fly trying to make up reasons why people would want to buy a Floribunda Capodimonte basket. Now, these were like ceramic, the things your grandma would have. They have all in their shells. They're looking really pretty. And these things were more like, they were made with, somebody in grade school, and you could see the fingerprints on the leaves. So I'm thinking, look at that. You can see the artisan's fingerprints right on that bud. Get a close shot. Look at that. I mean, that's the actual artisan's fingerprints. They're crafting and beautifully making these god-awful, ugly, ceramic flower. And they would do it. Then, of course, you go on the bottom and you say, look, oh, my God, on the bottom, it has the Nuevo Capodimonte mark, the N with the crown. That means, it's assured that this is an authentic piece of Capodimonte. I mean, I think, if I'm not mistaken, these were coming in through New York, and basically people were hand stamping.
Yeah.
With an ink pad. I mean, there's just absolutely no way. And I remember one night going on, and I had this thing called a Floribunda, and it was huge, like 3 feet. It was enormous. And I'm showing the craftsmanship, and I'm in there, looking at these weird, ungodly looking flowers. It wasn't like the real good Capodimonte. I mean, the real stuff was, magnificent. I mean, it actually was beautiful. But this stuff was more like ceramic stuff the kids were just kind of slopping, putting together. And you got it. And I'm going, look at that. You can see the fingerprint. I'm going, that fingerprint looks kind of weird. And I go, oh, look at that. That's blood. I cut myself on the Floribunda. I'm thinking, that's wrong. I mean, oh my God, get off that shot. That's my blood here. I'm doing everything, folks. I'm even cutting myself just to sell this thing.
Who are your favorite guests? Who have you met? Who were your guests? Give me some names of people that you've worked with on the air.
I've got a few. There's actually 2 great stories. The first story, so when you were a young man, who was your biggest crush? Who was the first crush that you ever had that was on TV?
Mary Tyler Moore for me.
Well, see, mine was Olivia Newton-John. I love Olivia Newton-John. I thought she was amazing, right? So on my birthday, both of these experiences happened on my birthday, which is kind of weird, but it's absolutely cool. So my wife finds out that Olivia Newton-John's going to be and I'm already gone to work. I have no idea. I'm in the host room doing my thing, and she finds out. So she calls this the guy that was in charge of Celebrity, and John Pinochi, and said, "Hey, could John get a chance to meet her? I mean, I want him to be surprised though. It's his birthday today. Can you do it?" And John was like, "Oh, that'd be cool." So he comes down to the host room. He goes, "John, there's somebody that wants to meet you." I go, "Oh, one of my guests." He goes, "Yeah." I'm literally clueless. So I'm walking down, and I walk in, and oh my God, it's Olivia Newton-John. So at that moment, everything on my body went like completely rigid. But it was one of those things too that you're like completely nervous. This is like that I couldn't talk. I mean, I was just like, it was one of those experiences. Then she comes up to me, she meets me, and we're all talking. Next thing I know, she puts her arm around me. And for a half an hour, I have Olivia Newton-John with her arm around me. And I am freaking out. I am literally, what an exciting time. I mean, it was definitely something that I would always remember. Now, the other one, I actually have some in my office I'll show you here too that goes with this story. So I used to do a lot of the sports shows. And I did the morning show on HSN for a while. And we were going to have a guest in that was from the sports community. I didn't know much about it. And I get there, and they're, by the way, we're going to have Fran Tarkington on today. I'm a Minnesota Viking fan. I have been a lifelong Minnesota Viking fan. I have seen every Super Bowl that we've lost and been a part of it and felt it. I mean, deeply.
Yeah.
And I'm going, Fran Tarkington? Oh my God, I used to watch him. I used to go to the Met Stadium, freeze my butt off outside in the cold with little cans of Sterno. They used to let you have those in the stadium.
Right, I remember.
Stuff. Like, I mean, you're pulling your foot out of the boot. Well, you in Pennsylvania, you would know. I mean, you got to pull your foot out, you warm it up a little bit, put it back in.
Yep.
They never let you do this Sterno in a stadium like now anyway. So I'm going, oh my God, this is gonna be great. So I got everything ready, made sure that I got there really early because I wanted to talk to Fran. He was my boyhood hero. And so Fran goes, we start talking, introduce myself, and I'm just like a kid at that point. And Fran Tarkington for 2 hours in a green room. It was just me and him. We talked about football. We talked about Bud Grant. I told him when I was a young guy and watching him play and being at Met Stadium and freezing my butt off in Minneapolis in the snow. I remember one time it was so bad that we thought the game was going to be canceled, but we drove there anyway. I mean, because all the snow and everything, got there and watched the game. And the experience was so unbelievable. And he was going to sell some kind of financial product because, it's a financial whiz. And that's what he was known for outside of, what was it? What was the show that he used to do years ago? That's Incredible. Remember that? If you remember that, it was him, Linda Evans, I think, and somebody else. But I do. So we got on air. I'm thinking, this is going to be great. We're going to do good. It's going to make lots of money. 15 minutes later, we sold 5. I was devastated. I'm thinking, oh my God, nobody wants his product. Nobody wants what he's selling. And I'm thinking, oh, this can't be happening. I mean, and truly it was. And we're sitting there and basically we get done. They're counting me down. It's the last minute. I'm thinking, oh God, I can't do anything. I can't get that to sell. I'm watching the screen. I'm trying to get it to go, giving them a couple more things to kind of get them going. Right. And thinking, oh my God, this is not working. And it's on my birthday. I'm thinking, oh my God, I met my childhood hero and I've destroyed his product. It wasn't my fault. They just didn't want it. But they're counting me down 30 seconds. He goes, John, we can't stop. He goes, what? I go, what do you mean? He goes, no, they have to stay right there. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, no, we can't go yet. And he motions to his assistant. Let's see, where is it? Right here. So clock's ticking down 10, 9. He goes, John, I got something for you. To John from Fran Tarkington. He gave me a football with his signature and happy birthday. I start bawling on the air. I mean, I literally start crying. I mean, this kid, that's in every one of my offices. I'm like, I mean, it's just like, it's to me, I would never sell this because nobody else, unless you're John. But it's like, I mean, that me, right. That's like the best experience ever. Even though it was funny though, because I look at the camera and I just start bust out crying. It was just with that kind of, moving, unique experience that you would have with a boyhood hero, I
love that. That's a great story.
Yeah. And it still even kind of makes me a little, teary-eyed because he just treated me so well. Sometimes you never got that out of, like real celebrities and stars. They treat you nice, but you knew it was fake. I mean, or when Suzanne Summers, I was in Vegas and I had worked with Suzanne a lot on the air, knew her husband really well. And basically I'm in a casino and I'm sitting with a bunch of friends and a bunch of people I know. And all of a sudden I hear this, John. I go, oh, well, the voice sounds familiar. I turn around and it's Suzanne Summers walking through the casino with her husband. She comes up and gives me this big hug and all these people are watching. And then all my friends are like, you know Suzanne Summers? Well, yeah. Like, it's a matter of fact, kind of fun. I mean, whatever. But she was always great to me. I mean, there's so many experiences like that, though. Susan Lucci, I mean, she congratulated me after I won my my Moxie Award for being the best product expert in the world on a television shopping channel. So it's pretty wild when you look back at all that and think, oh my God, I mean, those experiences have all been a part of what I do on air, and a lot of those experiences actually get translated out in stories that I use to help sell my product, which we do, which I've done a lot of. And I think that those experiences, it's kind of fun because I tell it from a different, it's where you are part of it now. I mean, you're literally a part of that experience because I related it to you. You've seen what it's like and how it's, and and that helps sell product too. So I mean, those are some of the guests I think that if you and I know it was a long-winded answer, but I mean, those were experiences that, I mean, those are life things, and things that you will never forget ever, and they just become part of your lexicon, part of your stories that you get a chance to sell or relive every once in a while.
So, what is the future of John now? I mean, you started doing the Inventors show.
My Cool Inventions. Yep, we were nationally syndicated radio show, over 600 stations.
Fantastic.
I actually built the network that was syndicating the show, meaning that I built the studios. I mean, okay, so I'm a TV, on TV, but I know a lot of stuff. I mean, I know how to edit. I know how to build, and I'm really good at that. So I built a network, studio, ground up. We syndicated, I think, 21 shows that went out to radio stations all over the country on the weekends and everything. We fed it up to a satellite up in New York, and I built that from nothing. I mean, just built it from scratch. And we started doing shows out of there. And of course, we had the My Cool Inventions, which was on a lot of different radio stations, and that was our Inventors show, right? Did that that ran for 6 years. And so I finally, my business partner and I split up and went our separate ways. But that, we did that for 6 years, and talking to entrepreneurs. I mean, probably 20, 30,000 inventors over that time, and trying to help them with their pitch, with their product, help them get manufacturing. And so I got to see the other side of the business, where those products come from. Because I can sell anything. You give it to me and I'll sell it to you. But it's not, I never knew how it was made. I never went as far as to know the people that made it. It would just appear in my show, and then I have to learn about it. But those experiences in that show actually helped me, I think, as far as an entrepreneur goes, to continue to develop, what I do. And right now, I mean, basically, I do a lot of consulting. I try to help people with their pitch, and learn that how they can be just as good with the authentic you. It's all based on the authentic you, and how you can be. I mean, no matter who you are, you could be the best spokesman for your product. Now, granted, there's some people that just will never. I mean, they can't talk even when they look at you face to face, so it can be difficult. Right. But I give them all the tools they need to be able to do it, and when they've got it and they're ready, it's just a better experience. Because I mean, if you're going to buy something, wouldn't you rather hear from the person that actually made it and created it?
Sure.
So I do a lot of that. I do a lot of consulting. I also work with a great team out of Seattle and San Diego. We do digital marketing for people. We have a group called the Instapreneurs, and it's a group that really, we're rebels. I mean, we're out there. We're a wolf pack, and we're teaching people how to do it themselves instead of going out and getting other people to help them. Teaching them that they've got the power. They can learn how to do it. And we have group meetings we have that are open to everybody on Friday nights. From I don't know, from my time, it's 9 o'clock till midnight, but it's just a group of people that are all experts in their field, and they all get together and we talk. We invite people in to pitch products. It's called Instapreneurs. It's actually on Facebook, and it's a fun group because you don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. And you don't know, and honestly, you don't know what topic's going to be discussed either, because the conversations they flow like what you and I are doing right now. I mean, we're going everywhere, but I mean, you learn practically, from everyone in the table. It's like sitting around a table drinking, your favorite brew. Mine happens to be Reef Donkey from Tampa Bay Brewing Company. It's a great American pale ale, and I love that. It's so good. But it's sitting back and you're discussing stuff in a very casual way, but you're really learning stuff, and that's been great for me. I mean, I like that experience, the one-on-ones and the groups where it's just a bunch of great, thinking minds, and really being what we call instrapreneurs, but they really are. They're entrepreneurs, they're inventors, they're product creators, they're salesmen. I mean, it's just a group of people, and we're traveling together, learning from each other, And, at times, we're able to help with a service or whatever that helps in the, the business aspect of it all. But it is, it's that whole, that part of it that I really like. Because I like, even if I'm not being the inventor, I'm part of the creative process. And if they become successful because of something I taught them, or, I taught them how to sell their product, then that was a big thing. And for me, that's where the reward is. And I love that, because I've made a lot of money selling product. I like to, it's my give back. I get to be a part of the process that I never saw before. And I think that's kind of the cool part.
I like that. John, you're a husband, you're a father.
Yes.
You're a son
in the military.
Son in the military.
Yeah.
I've seen his pictures and just, wow.
Have you seen the mortars?
Amazing.
He sends off? They're unbelievable.
It is amazing.
I'm going, so all those fireworks shows that I used to do in my backyard, every 4th of July, the Cremeans fire in the sky extravaganza. I mean, he learned how to shoot mortars from me.
Yeah.
Except his mortars are a lot bigger. Yeah.
That's interesting. I know you recently had, I think something happened in your family with, was it the loss of your dad as well?
Yeah, we're getting older now. Remember when we were kids and our parents would talk about death or experiences that they're having with their friends and family?
Yes.
We're now that group.
Yes.
We're now our parents. And my father had
are.
Parkinson's. It was a long walk, walk, probably 8 years. And then finally, under COVID, you really can't go in to see them. My sister could, because she was deemed essential. Yes. She literally got the care center to be able to let her go in and be with him and touch his hand and talk to him. And he finally just, he just passed away. It was incredibly sad for me. I mean, not being able to be there, and touching his hand or getting that last look. I mean, but I do have on my phone, I went back and I do have some voice messages from him, like my birthday message from my father, and I thought that was so freaking cool. I kept that one. That's even on my computer. I just can pull it up and do it. But, we're getting to that point. Like my stepmom, this happened like the Friday before my dad's death. Literally, dad died on Saturday. Friday, she got, and we never told him, but she had got a cancer diagnosis that was terminal. So she may be around with us as long as she can, maybe 6 months, maybe less. But I mean, so what an emotional time. And then try to still be all these other little, all these other little parts of your life, right? It's weird losing a parent. You still kind of wish that one day he's going to call me and just, pick up the phone, but that's not going to happen any longer. Or he'd come down to Florida. They have a condo down south of us that, we'd see him play euchre. That was his favorite card game. And him and his my stepmom were really good at it. My brother and I were really good at it. So those became some really fun things. Or the last time we went golfing with him, and it lasted 3 holes. And I looked at him and I go, "Dad, you're not having fun, are you?" He goes, "No." He goes, "I love it. I'm with my sons and I'm on the golf course, which I love." And he goes,
"That's magnificent."
And I go, "So then," I go, "Dad, we're going to the 19th hole. It's time for beer." We sat there and just drank and had a good time that way. I mean, that was the last time, because we as a family when I was growing up, that was our big thing. We get to have dinner as early as we possibly could. We get to the golf course by 5 and try to beat the sun in 9 holes. And sometimes that was difficult. My mom would go. My mom golfed. My brother and I golfed. My sister does a little bit. She's not as good as we are, but I mean, that was our family thing. Yeah. So when I go back up to my hometown, when we get back in the spring, we're going to go out golfing, and his a little bit of his ashes are going to be in every hole.
Oh, that's great.
We grew up playing.
That's great. Well, I mean, I would like to give you my condolences, and also on behalf of the audience, sorry about the loss of your dad. Dads are special.
Yeah. And, especially for guys, right? I mean, for girls too, I'm sure, but for guys, that's our mentor. That's how we learn to be who we are.
You're right.
And no matter what they had as a trait, we learned from them. I mean, they taught us how to shoot guns for the first time. That's what my dad did. And I taught my kids how to shoot guns and how to be respectful of a weapon and know how to shoot it and be safe with it. I mean, our house, we had guns sitting on the wall when I was a teenager. You couldn't do that in today's world, but we respected them because we knew what they could do. Whether we were out duck hunting or pheasant, or we're out, doing shooting deer, whatever. We knew that gun, the moment you pull that trigger, that is a final end to whatever happens. And it's something to be respected. I don't think people do that enough now with guns. I mean, I think that nobody teaches these kids the kind of respect that I taught mine, because we love going to the range. I mean, my son now is in the military, so you can imagine what a great shot he is. I'm still a better shot. I have more practice, more years. But it's those kind of moments that you look back at your dad and what I do with my dad and what I do with my kids, that I think it shapes them and molds them, makes them better people. Without a dad, your mom can do so much, but it's a male figure, it's a guy figure. I mean, whether your dad's a rough guy, a tough guy, or a rugged guy, likes to go out and camp, or maybe just the guy that mows the lawn and enjoys his family, goes out fishing every once in a while, gets together with the family. To travel up to Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin, go out fishing, have all the relatives come, and then teaching you some life lessons along the way. I think that makes us the men we are. I mean, because I really honestly, I look at some of these sports figures today. There's no way in hell I want my kids to emulate a lot of them. There's some good ones out there, but I mean, you know what I mean? Those aren't the male figures that we had as kids that taught us respect and thinking about life in a different way, and how to be responsible, and how to care about our fellow man and individuals around us, and be respectful. We've lost that. I mean, the kids of today, I mean, there are some good kids that are growing up. I mean, some of their families have decided, I'm taking them out of school. I'm self-schooling. I'm doing what I can to make them a better person or better citizen, right? And the kids just don't get that today. So I'm glad I was at least part of my kids' family. My oldest son is getting his contractor's license, and he's an electrician right now, but he's a business guy. He was a Trump follower. I'm not kidding. That kid, literally from the age of 6, he literally learned. I mean, he would watch. He'd see like Trump selling stuff on TV, or The Apprentice. He had to watch it. Yeah, and he literally from 6 years on, he created businesses. He was making money. Everything that he did in his life and his thought process was, how can this make me money? From that age. Now I was, a little different like that, but I mean, he really took it in. So, I mean, he's now doing his thing. I've got a son in the military. He's doing his, and he's, excelling really well. He's moving up in the ranks, which is cool. And my daughter, who's a psychologist, because she's got me for a dad. So, I don't have to pay anybody to talk about my problems.
There you go.
But I mean, they've all found their path, even though there are times going, oh my God, they're just like me. They're gonna do the same stupid stuff I did. They just perfected it a little more, But then to see what they are now and how they've grown up, I must have done something right. I don't know what the hell that is. I mean, whether it's just being a dad that my dad was to me, and just being part of the family and giving the best opportunities and working really hard with them, letting them fail. They got to fail. You can't coddle them. They have to find their way and learn from their mistakes. And now I see them, and it's like, God, they're nowhere near what I thought they were going to be, when they were younger. But man, I had to have done something right.
If people want to consult with you, how can they find you? Let's say, tell me
my
about
website, johncremeans.com. Johncremeans.com is basically your best way to get a hold of me immediately, or you can email me like you did. John.Cremeans at iCloud.com makes it simple. But my website also has a way to contact me from there as well. And, I get back to you right away when you contact me.
And what kind of, what would be the consulting services that you could provide for somebody who's watching this? Product or sales consulting? Tell us about what you could offer.
What's amazing for me is that I'm so connected. I've got so many friends, and through my group, our Entrepreneur, which I'm one of the founders, we've got so many people, and I can send you different directions. So as a connector, I'm good at that, but I'm really good at helping you develop your pitch. how you literally are going to take your idea and not just create it and make it, because that actually is the easy part. It may not seem to be, but it's the pitch. It's selling it.
Yeah.
It's not, just talking about the weather and spending 5 minutes of my time trying to tell me about everything else but your product. I want to know about your product. I want you to sell me from the moment you start talking to me. I mean, hey, how you doing? I've got this, and get me involved in your product. Show me what it is about. So I like doing that. I like to teach people how to present. But I also like I was telling you with my book, The Authentic You, which, it's on Amazon. It's on Apple Books. But it's doing what you and I are doing now. I mean, I wrote that book for the reason that I knew there were a lot of people because I saw it. I mean, you get in some of those big group meetings and you're thinking, oh, my God. This is my first experience with that guy, this girl over here, and I have no idea what they're doing. But to be able to teach somebody and show you that there really are some simple, practical ways to be the authentic you and to be knowledgeable. So I do that as well. Because my role now is, it's not as much on, I don't have to be on camera. I've done that. I've had the 35,000 hours that not a lot of people have. But I like, seeing people light up when all of a sudden they get it and they know how to sell their product now. They know that they can be the expert. They know that, and whether it's a product or it's just meetings, because I mean, a lot of these meetings are going on, and it's such a thing that when you talk on something like this and you're in a group of 50, people on a screen, that you want to stand out. That's why, I've got my office is, pretty much me, from the sci-fi me to I always loved The Sopranos. It's still a great show. I think I've gone through the series so many times now. I know exactly the wording on pretty much every episode. But I mean, when you look at my office, it's all about, my experiences and when people look at it, they oh, well, look, there's a Star Wars. Yeah. That's signed by Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher. It's you go through and that particular has every cast member of Sopranos signed on it. I mean, so
love it.
So that's when you look at me, you kind of get a little bit of what I am, or who I am, or what my experience or life is. Right. That's why I've got my football from Fran Tarkington, and a few other little trinkets around her. I even have the first lightsaber that they sold on air. It was the prototype that they used. It was a metal, had a fiberglass tube with a light that would go up and down. But I have the first one. And some of these behind me, I don't know. Let's see. You probably can't see because of the mic. But on that side, right there, you can see him kind of peeking. Yeah. That is signed by Stan Lee. I used to do shows with Stan Lee, the Marvel guy.
The Stan Lee.
Yes, the Stan Lee. I've had dinner with him. Oh, my God. He was such a great man. I mean, I hated to see how he died and how he was taking advantage of it at the end. But I have so many things signed by Stan Lee. I have tubes of lithographs that I had not even looked at in 20 years.
Wow. From
the shows I used to do. Because I used to do all the sci-fi shows for that. So this whole, and I know I went off track here, but that's part of the authentic you. So, man, I like you. I mean, I'm looking at you. I see you're a patriot. You've got an American flag behind you. Love that. You've got kind of this rustic, feel and look. I like your. I saw your chair. Looks like it's got a gator type pattern on it, which I was very impressed with. I'm going, I got to get that. I'm a motorcycle guy. I've got every kind of boot known to man, and I'm going, that's cool. So so when I look at you, I automatically, and this is the authentic you, I can tell what you are or how you are. I mean, even though we've known each other for a while and really just message back and forth and talk. I mean, for the first time, I'm going, I see you.
Yep.
I know exactly what you're about, man. And I love it. You're a man's man. You're a good guy, and you love your country. You love family. You're there, and that's a cool guy. So if I'm on a big Zoom, I'm gonna go, who's that guy? I mean, and just not because of your pronounced beard. And I'm going, Santa. No, but it's. I'm still a big kid. So, but I look at that and go, I want to know that person. I want to get to know what they are, not the person sitting in their pajamas right now, or the shirt that's the shit, or it looks like they just got out of bed. I don't want that. I don't want to know that. That's not going to impress me as much as that guy that's up there sitting in that alligator, office chair with an American flag. I want to know that guy. And so when you're on these kind of calls or on Zoom and stuff, that's the authentic you. That's that whole part that I was talking about that it makes a difference. It really does. So that's kind of what I do. I mean, I've done that a lot. I love the experience of just getting people so they can get their own self and they can know themselves better and can present their life's work, even if it's just one invention, to be able to do it to the best they can.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun talking to you, John Cremeans, former on-air talent for Home Shopping Network and others.
Yes.
On the air, more than Johnny Carson, 35,000 hours.
And Jay Leno and everybody combined.
And
it's
responsible.
Crazy. I don't even know how I did it.
And responsible for more than $2 billion, that's billion with a B, $2 billion worth of product sales. You are a legend in the media world, and your future is just super bright. You are not on your way out. You are on your way up. The intellectual capital that you have is amazing. It really is.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks, George.
I'm going to put a link for your book in the video and a link to your website as well. And let's do this again sometime.
Oh, I love it. I mean, the book you can find on Amazon. You can find it on Apple Books. And I also have another one there's actually several. I have several books that I've written. I'm in the third one called Booming It. And it's all about being a boomer entrepreneur. Like you and I are still in the boomer era.
Yes, we are.
And there are a lot of people that are making life changes, and a lot of them had to do because of COVID. They're guys in their 50s or whatever, and and people in their 50s, and they don't know what to do, so they're becoming entrepreneurs. And so I'm in the middle of this book on how to be a boomer, and I call it Booming It, and it's going to be out in a couple of months because I'm still trying to write all the good stuff on it. Okay,
well, we'll make sure we'll get this up. And when you do release the book, we'll have you back on again.
Oh, I'd love to. This has been fun. You're good. You're a guy's guy. You're like a salt of the earth kind of guy. And I watch your feeds. I see what you do and who you are. And I've known you I felt like I've known you a long time, even before today. Right. So it's cool to finally get a chance to do some face to face. Yeah, it's been probably a good 11 or 12 years. I think since we first encountered each other, so easily. Yep. So, all right. Well, we'll do it again. I'd love to do it during prime time. I'll announce it. The second show that we do, I will announce to the audience. This was just kind of a spontaneous thing, and I thought it would be fun. So, thanks for joining me today. Yeah, exactly. All right. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. That is awesome. Hey, thanks for being with us today.